Mantras of our Lord Sri Aurobindo. Our Lord Sri Aurobindo says, if you want to be a true doer of divine words, your first aim must be to be totally free from all desires and self-regarding ego. All your life must be an offering and sacrifice to the Supreme. Your only object in action shall be to serve, to receive, to fulfill, to become a manifesting instrument of the Divine Shakti in her works. With always our love and blessings, says our Lord Sri Aurobindo. Words of our Divine Mother, taken from the volume, the collective works of our Divine Mother, volume 13, page 85. Question, sweet Mother, why do I feel so much fear? For this, our Divine Mother says, because you think I want to impose my will upon you, but this is wrong. On the contrary, I want to leave you quite free to decide for yourself. Only I can know and foresee what you cannot, and do not foresee, and I can tell you what I see, that is all. It is up to you to make use of my knowledge or not. Your decision to wait for 1 year is wise and happy you have taken it. Nobody ever thought of forcing you to do yoga. If you want to do it in order to acquire the power over the circumstances, it is not a very noble or high motive, and you cannot count upon me to help you there. Our Divine Mother says, I can help you only if your motive is to discover the truth, not to postulate a priori that what you think is the truth, and to surrender entirely to the truth. So the decision is in your hands. Our Divine Mother says, now I am obliged to tell you that I neither approve nor disapprove, no like, no dislike, no desire, no personal will. Each case is seen individually and the answer given for the best of each one from the spiritual point of view. Go to your parents and at the same time you will be able to see and desire. Go to your parents and at the same time you will be able to see and decide if sincerely you want the divine life more than anything else. I am not in the habit of imposing my will on others. If they themselves ask for help, the help will be given, says our Divine Mother. Next subtopic, I am not displeased. Our Divine Mother says, you are having these bad suggestions that I do not love you, that you want to go away because you were disobeying me. But now that you have taken the resolution to act according to my will, the bad suggestions will disappear. Nobody has told anything against you to me. You ought to drop altogether and once for all this idea that I am displeased. It sounds to me so strange. If I could get thus displeased in the presence of human weaknesses, I would rather certainly be not fit to do the work that I am doing, and my coming upon earth would have no meaning. Our Divine Mother says, I never noticed anything bad in you when you come for pranam. Your aspiration is very clear, and I always answer. Do not worry about what other people may say. I am entirely satisfied with you, and my blessings are always with you. Our Divine Mother says, each one has his difficulties, and I am here to help him out of them. Question, sweet Mother, I feel very displeased. I am very sorry for whatever may be the reason for it. I am very unhappy about it. I'm feeling very bad about it. I hardly need to tell you about my growing affection for you with pranam for this, our Divine Mother says. Don't feel bad, my child. Don't worry. I am not at all displeased. Others may have been a little upset, but what seems to be somewhat like that, a light talk, but I do not hold you responsible for it. It has become a habit in the ashram to speak lightly and inconsideratively of many things that are beyond the usual understanding of people. It would need a great strength and endurance to resist successfully in this influence. However, I have hope that this strength and endurance will grow in all those of goodwill. Meanwhile, my love and blessings are all there. Be sure that I'm quite aware of the growing love and devotion in you. They meet with the full response that can duly expand. Our Divine Mother says, you must learn once and for all that whatever mistakes people commit, it cannot vex me nor displace me. If there is a bad will or revolt, Kali may come and chastise, but she always does it with love, says our Divine Mother. Our Divine Mother says each sadhak must remember that he is not alone. As far as possible, I am trying to give satisfaction to everybody, give answers to reasonable questions whenever it is necessary. It is a way of saying a crude description of something that actually happens but is much more subtle than that. If I were busy with one single person, I could keep perhaps in my memory some precisions, but as I am consciously dealing with more than 1,000 people, such precise details are not usually noted and not necessary either because the consciousness always does the work in the way it has to be done. Our Divine Mother says there is always a great difference between what people are and do and what they ought to be and do. The consciousness is quite aware of this and is constantly working to rectify and to change, but it does not work on separate points in a spasmodic way. It works on the whole in a total and all comprehensive way. The advance seems slow, but it is more complete and nothing is forgotten. Our Divine Mother says, truly speaking, I have no opinion. According to the vision of truth, everything is still terribly mixed, a more or less favorable combination of light and darkness, truth and falsehood, knowledge and ignorance, and so long as decisions are made, action is undertaken according to opinions, it will be always like that. We want to give the example of an action that is undertaken in accordance with a vision of truth, but unfortunately, we are still very far from realizing this ideal. Even if the vision of truth expresses itself, it is immediately distorted in its implementation. So, in the present state of affairs, it is impossible to say this is true, that is false, this leads us away from the goal, that brings us nearer to the goal. Everything can be used for the progress to be made. Everything can be useful if we know how to use it. Our Divine Mother says the important thing is never to lose the sight of the ideal we want to realize and make use of all circumstances in view of this goal. And finally, it is always better not to make an arbitrary decision for or against things and to watch the unfolding of events with the impartiality of a witness, relying on the divine wisdom which will decide for the best and do what is necessary. Our Divine Mother says, my way of seeing is somewhat different. For my consciousness, the whole life upon earth, including the human life and all its mentality, is a mass of vibrations, mostly vibrations of falsehood, ignorance, and disorder, in which are more and more with work, vibrations of truth, harmony, coming from the higher regions and pushing their way through the resistance. In this vision, the ego sense, the individual assertion and separateness become quite unreal and illusory. Our Divine Mother says when some extra confusion is created in the already existing confusion, I direct upon it some special vibrations to restore as much as possible a better harmony. It is not the individuals as such that feel the blow, it is their climbing or siding with the disharmony. In such cases, there is never one side right, one side wrong, but all are to be blamed in the measure of their adhesion to falsehood and confusion, says our Divine Mother. And Divine Mother continues to say, you don't understand the way of my working. You can as well say, you have the supermental force, why don't you use it and finish all this muddle? But it is not like this that the work can be done. The world is not ready for the supramental force, and if it is used without preparing the base, things will shatter completely. I have to prepare the base and bring down the force. Your human vision sees things in a straight line. For you, it is either this way or that way. For me, it is not like that. I see the whole thing as a mass of consciousness moving towards its end or goal. For each small movement, I have to see what its reactions will be on the whole mass, what repercussions may follow. When I say something should be done in this way or that way, your human mind takes it as a principle and tries to apply it rigidity in all cases. For me, it is not like that. For me, there are no rules, no regulations, no principles. For me, each one is an exceptional case to be dealt in a special way. No two cases are similar. In the moment of this mass of consciousness, I know that a certain point should move in a certain direction for reaching the goal more easily. With this point in view, I declare that this should be done or not done, but I find that sometimes there is a big obstruction in the way. Now it can be dealt with in two ways. Either I should allow the point to change its direction and leave the barrier alone for the time being till more and more light falls upon it and it gets changed, or I should break the barrier. Our Divine Mother says, as I have said, every small movement has its reactions and repercussions on the mass. So, this breaking also will cause a chain of reactions which may affect a much larger field. I am no respecter of persons, but I have to see at every moment the changing circumstances due to the change of the persons concerned, change of time, channel through which the thing passes. I have to see with all these changes how best the thing can be done so that it may help the progress of the mass. I have to see whether it is worthwhile to break the barrier, resisting consequences, whether it would not be better to leave it for the moment and tolerate the human stupidity. Our Divine Mother says what appears to you to be contradiction is not contradiction when the whole thing is seen as one. There are various ways to reach the same end. So if I find that breaking will cost much more than what it is worth, then I will allow you to go the way you like. But that does not prevent you from me from commending the obstruction and saying that it is ought to go. And after all, sooner or later, each thing, everything in this mass of consciousness has to move towards the same goal, but to lead the consciousness towards the goal, I have to allow human beings to move with me. I have to appear in their own form and speak in their own language. I have to adopt a crude expression. I can see the stupidity of the way in which I have to speak and lay down rules and regulations, but this is a concession that I must make to humanity. Otherwise, it would not be able to understand anything. Even when I speak in their own language, people misunderstand me and make a mess. If I were to speak in the language of the light, then the whole thing would pass through their heads and they would be left gaping without understanding anything. Twice I tried to speak to X in the language of what Sri Aurobindo calls the mind of light, but even he couldn't understand that. He could catch a little, but the fullness of the sense escaped. With the others, it's still worse. They fail to understand anything and look dazed. For the sake of these people, says our mother, I have to make a compromise. I say that a certain thing is stupid because I see that I cannot remain without doing it, so I have to tolerate it. I see the relative value of things, adopt the way that may be helpful in making the progress. In your interest, in the interest of the progress of the whole mass of consciousness, I may have to allow good many things, but it doesn't mean that I am blind to them, cannot see their stupidity. Sometimes it is necessary that you should have an experience so the thing is allowed. There can be many reasons for the same action, but that would have been given a big shaking. The relative values, the thing was not worth the shaking. I have given any permission. That does not prevent me from saying that it is not the right thing, says our Divine Mother. Our Divine Mother says you must not get worried about the mistakes and weaknesses of others. The only thing necessary is not to believe what people say to you, especially if they speak in my name. When we get bitter, we lose our divine contact and become very bitterly human. Be aware of what is repeated to you in my name. The spirit in which it has to be said is lost. Be very careful to let no influence diminish your confidence in me. Allow nothing or nobody to separate you from me. Our Divine Mother says, when I speak plainly, always what I mean to say. When I say the first condition of yoga is to keep quiet and calm, I mean it. When I say that talk is useless and leads to confusion, waste of energy, loss of little light one may have, I mean that and nothing else. When I say that I have given nobody the right to speak in my name and to interpret my words according to his own fancy, I mean that and nothing else. I hope this is clear, and this is it. This singular misunderstanding will now come to an end. Our Divine Mother says the usual sadhanas have for aim the union with the Supreme Consciousness, Satchit Ananda, and those who reach there are satisfied with their own liberation and leave the world to its unhappy plight. On the contrary, Sri Aurobindo's sadhana starts where others end. Once the union with the Supreme is realized, one must bring down that realization to the exterior world and change the conditions of life upon earth until a total transformation is accomplished. In accordance with this aim, the sadhaks of the integral yoga do not retire from the world to lead a life of contemplation and meditation. Each one must devote at least one third of his time to a useful work. All activities are represented in the ashram. Each one chooses the work most congenial to his nature, but must do it in a spirit of service and unselfishness, keeping always in view the aim of integral transformation. To make this purpose possible, the ashram is organized so that all its inmates find their reasonable needs satisfied and have not to worry about their sustenance. The rules are very few so that each one can enjoy the freedom needed for his development, but a few things are strictly forbidden: politics, smoking, alcohol, alcoholic drink, and sex enjoyment. Great care is taken for the maintenance of good health and welfare and the normal growth of the body of all, small, big, young, and old. Our Divine Mother says appearances and rules change, but our faith and our aim remains the same. Ours is neither a political nor a social but a spiritual goal. What we want is transformation of the individual consciousness, not a change of regime or a government. For reaching that goal, we put no confidence in any human means, however powerful. Our trust is in the divine grace alone. For us here, there is only one thing that counts. We aspire for the divine, live for the divine, act for the divine. It is ages of ardent aspiration that have brought us here to do the divine's work, says our Divine Mother.
Falling back always into the same stupidities. Grant that the mistakes recognized may never be renewed. Grant lastly that its actions may be the exact and sincere expressions of its proclaimed ideals. Seigneur, le monde t'implore pour que tu empêches de retomber toujours dans les mêmes stupidités. Permets que l'erreur revenue ne soit jamais renouvelée. Permets enfin que les actions soient l'expression sincère et exacte de l'idéal proclamé.
सर्वभूतस्थमात्मानं सर्वभूतानि चात्मनि ईक्षते योगयुक्तात्मा सर्वत्र समदर्शनः यो मां पश्यति सर्वत्र सर्वं च मयि पश्यति तस्याहं न प्रणश्यामि स च मे न प्रणश्यति ॐ शक्तिः शुम्भनिशुम्भदैत्यदलनी या सिद्धिलक्ष्मीश्वरा या देवी नवकोटिमूर्तिसहिता मां पातु विश्वेश्वरी द्युम्नेतत्पाद्यं शूराय श्रीमीराय नमः। ॐ वरदा हस्ता च विभुजा गौरदेहिका रक्तपद्मासनस्था च मुकुटोज्ज्वलमण्डिता रक्तकौशेयवसना स्मितवक्त्रा शुभानना सर्वेश्वराय सर्वपतये सर्वसन्तराय अरविन्दाय नमः अरविन्दाय